Hey, hey everybody, it is Kenny B here. Another quick blurt for you tonight, if you will. Thank you. And just wanted to check in with you guys tonight. It is Monday, August 10th, 2020. I attended a webinar this evening with the Worcester Housing Authority. It was on the new development of the micro units on located at 32 Lewis Street in Worcester, Massachusetts. There are 24 units, micro units, one bed. When they mean micro, they mean micro. This is all to combat, it's through the Worcester Housing Authority that received $2.2 million from the Massachusetts Department of Housing and Community Development to combat the homelessness throughout Worcester and, Massachusetts itself. There's a 3-story, 10,000 square foot building on Lewis Street, 38. We'll have 24 studio apartments between 300 and 400 square feet. Not a lot. So kind of like if you ever had a bunk bed and you were the top guy. And I think that's great. And there's going to be on-site social workers. So we're presupposing that chronically homeless individuals will be residing in these micro dwellings. I did attend a webinar tonight, and I did listen to the city manager, the mayor, and I do not want to have his name wrong, but the executive director of the Worcester Housing Authority, Alex Corrales, and Mr. Corrales, from some folks that I know who dwell in Worcester housing, do not speak favorable in terms of his responding to community concerns, residents' concerns, because they are residents who live in Worcester housing already. But not to digress from the original point that's great. We're trying to combat homelessness. However, there were several call-ins on this webinar from city councilors that kept referring to the newly housed folks as homeless people. So we're coming with this label, we're coming with this stigma. Wow, Mr. Corrales was asked about will the residents at 38 Lewis Street, will they be able to have animals? Well, there's restrictions anywhere you go in terms of what you can have in terms of a hamster or a pet, and he actually quote unquote used that hamster and things like that has not been determined. Small animals, obviously you can't have a medium-sized dog, and I'm not in public housing. I do rent a very nice place. I'm fortunate for that, but there are certain limitations on what you can do and what you can own as far as an animal goes, and that also too is respectful of the other tenants' rights. Okay, but Mr. Corrales went also on to say that at first I was like, well, I get what he's saying, but that animals can be comforting for those folks with emotional disabilities and things. So I guess my point is that what you're saying is that we're housing 24 folks who are chronically homeless, because we didn't say that they may be affected by a mental health, serious mental illness, or co-occurring drug disorder, chronic homelessness, where they need these pets to do this. You have an ongoing on-site social worker. So let's just say it. You know, so that's great. Let's give people a leg up and stop calling them homeless. It was terrible. Some of these, and these were some of the Worcester City councils calling in and saying, geez, you know, we want to end homeless, and those homeless that are living. Wow. It was just a pre-sup. And it doesn't help to house the homeless if we keep referring to them as homeless. Like these new micro units are shelters. They are not shelters. It's a lot for people to adapt from chronic homelessness to actually having a residential name and number and a location where your mail actually goes to. Now you're receiving mail. Believe me, I understand it. I work in the field. But I just wanted to make sure, too, the citizens, from the end of this webinar today, and the citizens also called in, they kind of had this just typical housing, Worcester housing, we justify everything. Again, Mr. Corrales has been called on the carpet because he's not responsive. Worcester Housing has not been responsive throughout the city in addressing the needs of the folks that are in particularly older buildings. A lot of the older buildings in Worcester Housing, you know, the tall buildings, have no air conditioning. They don't have a cool-off room. They have fans, but there's no central air. Okay? You, as a resident that's on a fixed income, Social Security, you know, public assistance, have to pay to have your air conditioners installed. You can't do it, they have to do it. I think it costs $50-something, and then you pay a fee each month to use that. I'm not saying everything should be free, but I know people who are living in public housing right now that are sweating their butts off. They don't even have a fan. So, okay, let's build some micro units on Lewis Street, a residential / older industrial sector, right off of Southbridge Street, Cambridge Street, that district right there. Not known for its best local economy, if you will, school district. But we find these places to give people a leg up, and they're usually in the worst parts of town, man. But this is just my rant tonight. 38 Lewis Street, Worcester House, not very transparent at all. The councilors that called in tonight, okay, I wasn't impressed with that leadership either. If I actually lived in those districts, first of all, I couldn't even hear a couple of them. And I don't want to see them on the couch with their dogs or their new babies. That's great. But again, we're talking about people who are chronically homeless, trying to find them, though that population, a place to live. But should be a starter, and good jobs and local economies. Your city council should be fighting for that, by the way. Okay, not just ending homelessness by putting someone in a building with an address. We need good jobs, equal opportunity for everybody who's looking for a job. I'm not talking a dream job, but you know, let's put our efforts to that. Okay, once you have a job at a place, a home and a place to hang your hat, maybe now that's your leg up. All right, let's get you back in the game where you belong. All right, guys. Anyway, I'm going to ditch out, and Kenny B here from Cities and Suburbs. Good talking with you tonight. Let me know what you think, what you like. Let me know what you like, what you don't like. I'm cool with either way. All right, take care. Good night, guys.